Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. Welcome back to GEEXX Watch. Today I want to talk about the 2019 film Hellboy, an image which you will see here. You may notice the images don't match. We'll talk about that in a minute. Hellboy is based on the comic by Magnola. I can't remember his first name. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing his last name. The titular character, Hellboy, is a half demon. The opening plot of the movie takes place in World War II. Grigory Rasputin, a cult advisor to Adolf Hitler, promises Hitler that he will help end the war with the use of occult magic. They are stopped by some American Allied troops. Among them, a professor, Trevor Broom, who is an occult advisor to the President of the United States. Grigory Rasputin seemingly dies by being pulled into another dimension, and in the aftermath, something has appeared. A portal to the other dimension has been opened too long, and a little red infant with horns and a massive stone hand is left behind. 60 years later, Professor Broom and the little ape boy, who they've called Hellboy, work basically to clean up paranormal events and creatures in the United States and the world. You know, it's their job to, to fight the paranormal fights that normal people don't know about. Maybe a bit more spoilers. There's more going on. The two of the people that were seen back in World War II, Nazis, have survived. Their magic has kept them young. Rasputin's magic has kept them young, and they set about doing things that they had summoned Hellboy to do originally. They wanted to bring about the end of the world. They're still on that mission, and they start summoning up nasty creatures to do that. There are other people besides Hellboy. There is Ape Sapiens, who is an aquatic-like creature. You can see in the image behind me. There's also a woman who reluctantly joins them. Damn, what's her name? Lise? Damn, I'm trying to blank. And I shouldn't be, because I love this movie. She's somewhat of a pyrokinetic. She can emit fire. And there's a couple other side characters. But that's there's some, Ilsa and Karl Rupert Kroner are the villains, along with Rasputin. I'm doing a bad job of this. But I'm not going to re-record it because I don't have a script, and it doesn't really matter. The film has some kind of a cosmic horror element. I'm not sure how much that is from Mangela's comic books, because I never actually read them. I didn't care for the art style. Having said that, Ron Perlman as Hellboy is perfect for the part. I mean, he really, with what little I know about the comic book, visually, they made him look so close to what the character in the comic books looked like. I mean, there's various differences because the art style in the comics was somewhat impressionist, somewhat abstract. So to give it a full three-dimensional look, the rest of the stuff doesn't really look like the comics. The monsters and stuff have a very distinct style, which the film takes differently. It does look more like something gothic and otherworldly, which I think they do a good job of. The film was also uses a mix of CGI and practical effects. So a lot of the monsters and stuff looks realistic because it is. The one of the monsters, Samael, There is some CGI, but they also used a lot of a guy in a rubber suit. So, and did an amazing job. This movie was a hit. Enough that a director's cut was released, which is what I have here. This has all kinds of stuff. This thing, I mean, there's the full movie. Actually, the director's cut is longer than the full movie. There's a little tiny, where is it? It's gonna, a little tiny, like like a Diary of Gregor of Rasputin is this little thing here. There's 3 discs. There's hours, 2 or 3 hours of bonus footage of behind the scenes stuff, you know, commentaries, set construction, special effects work. There's just hours and hours of stuff if you want to sit down and watch it. I actually have at some point watched this entire stuff. Not recently, not before I did this, but this is just such a well done piece of fantasy. I was very impressed by it. You know, I went to see it in the theater because, you know, I go to see almost all the superhero and comic book movies that come out, whether I'm familiar with them or not. Like I said, I didn't read the Hellboy comic books. So I didn't go in with a lot of expectations. Having said that, I was pleasantly surprised at how good this was. You know, it's a really solid piece of writing and directing and acting. You know, again, Ron Perlman, perfect for that role. He's good at the big hulking monster type guys. So that's my rambling review of Hellboy. As always, thanks for watching. As always, this stuff is crap. And until next time, good hunting.